It's so humiliating and embarrassing that some Somalis, that the ones that don't see themselves as black, went and voted for Donald Trump. Like, out of everybody, are you serious? Oof! Right now. Let's pack your bags. Oof!
African American woman about 25 years ago apparently warned the Somali community about what's going to take place in Minnesota. She basically warned them and said, you guys are going to become just like us. You don't take initiative and open up communities and invest in the youth, etc., etc., etc.
They are all finding out. Because you see, back on November 2nd or November 3rd of 2024, this is how it started out there in Minnesota with the African Somalian community.
Thank you, Salman, and good morning again. My name is Faisal Deri, and we're here gathered today with the community leaders, business leaders, and youth leaders from the Somali community and from the Muslim community in Minnesota. And we're gathered here today to fully support and endorse President Trump.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right. So in today's episode, guys, when we say the internet never forgets, the internet truly never forgets. And we are asking ourselves a question. How is it that Americans and the world got to see how Latinos supported Trump and how they found out after he became president? But for some reason, people missed out on the Somalis in America.
Right. And in today's episode, Black Americans are bringing out receipts upon receipts of how Somalis were so pro-Trump during the election period to a point where they voted against their own interests, not knowing that a few months after the guy took office, they would be under fire.
Right, guys. And right now, we are asking yourself also, how is it that for people who claim to want a better social standing and a better economic standing, if they had done their homework, they would have known that the president they voted for does not like, number one, he's very against immigrants, right? Which is what the Somalis are. Number two, he does not like Islam people, right? And that he has stood on that very, very strongly by how he speaks about their very proud leader, Ilhan Omar, you know.
Right. And the biggest question, which is not so big a question right now, is right now people are dissecting how Somalis ended up into this very well elaborated frying pan. So guys, let's watch this episode and then we come back and talk about it. You can also let us know what you think about this episode down in the comment section and consider subscribing if you're new to our channel. Let's watch and then we come back.
They are all finding out. Because you see, back on November 2nd or November 3rd of 2024, this is how it started out there in Minnesota with the African Somalian community.
Thank you, Salman, and good morning again. My name is Faisal Deri, and we're here gathered today with the community leaders, business leaders, and youth leaders from the Somali community and from the Muslim community in Minnesota. And we're gathered here today to fully support and endorse President Trump and JD Vance. So some of the key issues of the community are the global wars, and we're for peace. Economic issues, family values, and education are some of the critical issues that this community cares. On top of that, this community cares about the economic issues and the inflation. With all these and a number of other issues, the community came together and fully is standing behind President Donald J. Trump. Yes.
Well, that's how it started back in November of 2024. This is how it's going.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Somebody say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I can say that about other countries, too. I can say that about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
You mean to tell me not only did the Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan support Wigs R Us, but the Somalians in Minneapolis, Minnesota supported Wigs R Us. And now he is saying that y'all have stolen billions from the fucking United States and from American citizens, and that the mayor of Minneapolis should be disappointed and should not be happy with having y'all in their fucking city. And now they've removed the protections for y'all so y'all could be deported, even though we know a lot of y'all are U.S. citizens. The fact that he said he's removing protections from y'all so y'all can go ahead and see ice, baby, boom, doom, doom. When y'all gonna start listening to black folks? That's my fucking question. Because I know y'all come to this fucking country and y'all are told that black people are the most laziest people in the fucking world. Even though y'all don't do no fucking studying, y'all have no idea who the fuck we really are. Why the fuck would y'all come to a country and listen to white folks and not listen to people who actually look like you? I'll wait. Because we told y'all, dumbasses. We told y'all. I'm telling you, I'm going to say this again. Anytime a white person tries to come between people of color, there's always an agenda. And for the Somalian people in Minneapolis, Minnesota, you about to find out that fucking agenda, okay? You are about to be the next. Come on down. It is time for you to get your ride on the ICE train. This shit has got to be studied. Like, honestly, I feel like they don't learn no fucking history when they get here. You forget you look like me. We could be twinning them.
Hi, so I just really want to make this video from like a human space. This is something I've been really meaning to say, and I'm so glad that I can finally articulate it to you guys. So I'm Somali. I grew up in Minnetonka. I've been raised here my entire life. I am born here and I've lived here. I've studied here. I'm a pre-med. I do research, and that's usually the type of stuff I talk about on my page. But right now I feel like it's really important for me to say this. What I'm going to say is that I have been getting so many messages telling me to go back to your country, go back to your country. But the reality of the situation is the United States is the only country I've ever known my entire life. And the thing is, the great irony of it all is I'm not the ambassador of Somalia. I don't speak for Somali people. I'm not a spokesperson for this community. I'm just one young person trying to study, navigate life, and live like any other 20-something-year-old living here in this state. And so something that I feel like is going on is that there's a lot of immigrant people and first-gen, second-gen kids like me with this weight on our shoulders trying to explain everything going on in our communities, trying to defend our communities. But I'm really no different from any other 20-something-year-old trying to make it here in this state, in this country, in this world. And so I'm sharing this because I really feel like a lot of us are being treated this way and dealing with this quietly. But the reality is we aren't symbols. We aren't some type of ambassador. We are just human beings.
Yeah, I think that that's one perspective. But the other perspective is, you're just collateral damage from the bad decisions that was made, possibly from your family, depending on how they got here. Because we still have to ask the question, right? This young woman who, you have to love and respect the fact that they were able to articulate themselves and communicate clearly about what their plight is and what's happening over in the Somali community, which she's not necessarily saying anything that we don't already know, that people that are born here inside of the United States of America, especially ones that receive birthright citizenship, meaning that their parents may not necessarily be from here, and they may have come over here either illegally or temporary protective status, but it doesn't mean that it justify the fact that we are leveraging laws that were meant for American descendants of slaves, people that did not ask to be here, and them receiving birthright citizenship should not have been extended over into people that are just normally born in the United States of America, regardless of what their circumstances are. So while I acknowledge that we should make sure that we accommodate people that are legally here in the United States of America as citizens, you can't blame people that then speak loudly about the fact that we should be putting Americans first and the people that are here already, instead of advocating for and allocating our tax dollars for people that came over here illegally. I'm not really sure what hurt.
We love our brothers and sisters who are Democrats, but you left us. And because the left left us, join the right, vote for Trump 2024, vote for George Rape 2024, vote for Maisie Young in St. Paul 2024, vote for Tajud in CD3 2024, vote for Tom Emma, our lion, out of St. Cloud. Farhan is here and is endorsing him. And please go out and vote, because voting for Trump without soldiers is giving him a failure. So please vote. Again, for the school boards, we have a ton of people running who are in the school board from all over the state. And please go vote for the Republican Party this time. Thank you so much.
On this edition of FAFO, the Somalis for Trump edition.
Somalia, which is barely a country, you know, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other. There's no structure. Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
Now, let's rewind back to the 2024 election season, because some Somali voters said that the economy and social issues are driving them to vote for Trump. Economic issues and LGBTQ issues in local schools are prompting more Somali voters to choose Republican candidates, say several Somali community members. Then this article here said that Democrats lost support with Somali Minnesota voters in 2024 presidential election. Concerns about the war, the economy, and not feeling heard contributed to shifting political tide. And a lot of them then voted based on faith as well as against LGBTQ issues. Well, let's see how some of them are doing now. New immigration operation is set to target Somali migrants in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. And this one goes with the video clip that I just showed you. It says Trump calls Somalis garbage, he doesn't want them in the country. Makes me wonder if any of those Somalis have like friends or family members that are of questionable status or aren't permanent or legal residents of some type, because these raids are gonna go after them specifically. And he also called your folks garbage. I'm gonna venture a very strong educated guess and say that you did not expect the leopards to come and eat your faces. But anyways, have the day that you voted for. Bye.
Yo, what's going on in Minnesota? Somalis are showing up for Trump. First of all, I ain't even American. I'm Canadian, but I live in the UK, and I find this shit hilarious. Like, they're full out Trump fans. They got the posters, they got the hats. They're all out. You even got hijabis wearing the Trump hat, just chilling. You know what this is? This is Somalis basically seeing the Democratic Party and looking at them and saying that their values and ideals don't align with us. And they would rather align with somebody who even did a Muslim ban, who did a ban against Somalia and Somali people traveling to America. But I think it's because the Democratic Party have done such a damning job to their reputation that they feel like they have no choice but to go with Trump. Because as much as you guys want to laugh, the conservative values very much do align with some Islamic values, especially when it comes to a certain alphabet team. But yeah, you know what? I would love to hear from somebody in Minnesota who's a Somali that actually is a Trump fan. Let me know why you support Trump, because I'm just assuming. You guys need to let me know.
Sacred in this country. We have a media landscape where truth is now falsehood and falsehood is now truth. And I am not down with that. So for me, I'm going to continue to advocate for those who are sad, saying that I'm abandoning my party. Guess what? I did not abandon my party. My party abandoned me, and I'm not going to be party to that. And we're going to organize over this last couple of days to change the direction of this country. Thank you so much. Thank you.
halista lagu sheegaa intaas waay hadda fiidiyogaas ku laabta halista ka sheekaysaa jabalaha halista jays maxaa waay qofka neef la qalal jee neef la qalay ma rabtaa inaad aragtid.
If we keep taking in garbage into our country, Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch We don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much, everybody.
waa dhamaatay ciyaarta way dhamaatay
No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of. In all of human history, nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth.
Donald Trump, what he said has to be the biggest eye-opener for all of the Somali expats living in the West. Put things to perspective, I'm a Somali, British-born Somali. Grew up in the UK, London to be precise, and I moved to Hargeisa about 1.5 years ago. And it was the best decision I've ever made because I've been living here. I'm stress-free. I go about my day. No one says anything to me. This is my country, right? At the end of the day, this is my country. And this is the thing about us immigrants. We get caught up in building other people's countries. If I was an American, I would be straight away thinking about how to get back to Somalia, Somaliland, wherever you come from. Why? Because how are you contributing to a country that sees you that badly? And by the way, Donald Trump is the only one who's actually vocal about it. There's others that think the same thing. That's why I say the least that you can do is build up your own country. And I'm not saying go into politics. You're contributing to your country just by living there. I would just advise my Somali American brothers and sisters, especially those living in Minnesota. Invest in your own land. Invest in your own country. Don't waste your efforts on pleasing another man and another country.
You know, I'm sure that many Somalis would like to go back to where they came from and fix it. But the decades of civil war and then severe drought followed by devastating floods have led to 3.8 million displaced people in Somalia and 6.7 million who are unable to meet their basic food needs. Somalis came here trying to survive, and a man who grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth and lives in a gilded mansion called them garbage. A xenophobic rant today wasn't from your racist Aunt Marge, it was from the president, again. The very first step towards violently persecuting a minority is language just like that, because it eliminates the moral barriers that someone has towards how they treat a fellow human being. Except this time Trump's gone one worse than calling them animals or subhuman. He's literally called them something that gets thrown away in the trash. I don't really know how to explain to you if you don't already understand how cruel, inhumane, and dangerous the rhetoric is that's being spewed by the President of the United States, except to say that this is the same kind of dehumanizing language that was used in Germany, Cambodia, Bosnia, and Rwanda.
Every time his numbers drop, or he perceives that his popularity is dropping, no matter how much tush kissing the cabinet does on him, it's really disgusting to watch them kiss his butt. But anyway, every time that happens, he pulls out a race card.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
Last time it was the Haitians who were eating the pets, and now it's the Somalis in Minnesota, who, by the way, there's only 84,000 Somalis in Minnesota, and 58% of them were born in the United States.
Yeah, and 87% of them are naturalized citizens.
Yeah. But one of my spies told me that he lost support with the Somali Minnesota voters over the Biden administration's handling of Gaza. So again, it's personal. Everything's personal with him.
While Trump is busy calling Somali immigrants garbage and acting like they offer nothing to the country, this kind of feels like an opportune time to remind everyone that Somalis low-key helped the West to get online. And Gen Z, you weren't there, so let me walk you through what that looked like, because most of you have never experienced a time in life where it was kind of difficult to get online if your family didn't have a computer. And for most people in the early 2000s, that was the case, right? Almost half of low-income UK households had absolutely no internet at home, right? In the US, more than 40% of low-income families were offline too. Because before Wi-Fi in every block, before unlimited data, before we even had iPhones in every pocket, right? It was the Somali internet cafes that were holding it down, right? When you saw that small shop with its blue glow, the smell of French fries or chips from the next door, right? 20 dusty computers were humming like a generator. You'd walk in, ask for a Mirinda with £1 thinking that you were Jeff Bezos, right? Kids printing coursework because there was no laptop at home. Teens making their first Yahoo email, setting up an MSN or a Black Chat, right? Doing something wild, right? Uncles checking football scores, aunties sending money home and arguing with the exchange rate. And for people saying that the internet was already everywhere, well, no, it wasn't. Not in low-income households, not in black or migrant neighbourhoods. Even Ofcom said that ethnic minorities and migrant households were less likely to have home internet in the early broadband years. Not that Trump would care about that, but working class people were struggling, right, with access to the internet. People forget that Somali entrepreneurs stepped up long before any council or telecom cared. They built these hubs with no funding, no backing, just community need and pure strategy. And for the ones who maybe shout at me and be like, you're exaggerating Somali impact. Well, here's the truth, right? Those cafes weren't building GDP. They were actually building access, capability, and connection. They were the digital front door for whole entire neighborhoods when the system was moving slow. And America had the same pattern as the UK, right? In London, that was standard, Wembley, Harlesden, and then Minneapolis, Columbus, Seattle, San Diego. Somali-owned cafes filled the gaps in communities that the mainstream tech world just completely ignored. And if anyone asks why I bring immigration into it, well, it's because the same country shouting about who doesn't belong forgets that it's immigrant businesses who are the ones giving working class Americans their very first taste of online world. So you wouldn't have no one to talk to in your crazy rants if it wasn't for the Somalis. That's the part that nobody says. The people you call outsiders were building the access everyone ended up using. The business lesson: when institutions move slow, community business becomes the infrastructure. But the next step is turning that kind of innovation into ownership, not just service. Let's talk in the comment section.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this video on the comment section. Yeah, you know, I bet you where Latinos are, I'm very sure they're happy because right now they're catching a break,
right? And the attention has shifted from them to the Somali community of America. And personally, as an African who has interacted with so many Somalis, I can definitely without a doubt say that the Somali community was able to get got by Trump, because Somalis, even here in Africa, even here in Kenya where we come from, Somalis are very pro-economy, pro-business, you know.
And most importantly, they really are people who stand on family
values.
You know, exactly.
Right. So when Trump said he was going to end gayism, he was going to end transgenderism, he was going to end all of that, I can see why the Somali community were really started supporting him, because they really value family values, you know. And another thing, when it comes to economy, even here in Africa, even here in Kenya, the ones who migrate into Kenya and the ones who are born into Kenya, they're very business oriented, you know. So when Trump said or promised he would do this and that to revive the economy, I can see why they voted for Trump and how they got. But my question is, just like many Black Americans are asking, when you come into America, why don't you first begin by looking at the American history when it comes to treating Black people? And why don't you also do your own research when it comes to the president you are selecting? Is he good for what you truly believe in the long run, or do you think the few things he has promised you surpasses for the greater good, surpasses the bad that he will do? I bet they thought that the leopard would never eat their faces, but
never thought. If you know that song, my face.
Yeah, that song is coming back again because of
it will never grow old.
Yeah, because of Somalis. But I really do believe that they really didn't think well, or they didn't research on Donald Trump enough for them to know the accusations he's been given of being, you know, racist, you know, and not liking the Black community much.
And guys, so right now I've had a lot of people from the Somali community who are coming out to speak, and according to to them, they're blaming the president of being targeting them because according to them, his ratings are quite low and he needed something. And they think that just as usual, he normally defaults to xenophobia,
attacking minorities,
exactly, and attacking the minorities in order to boost his numbers, and they're
especially with his white Americans.
Exactly, and they're accusing him of that. But I also have to say that for President Trump to have that leg up, there had to be something that he knew about that community that would be that one thing that would take the community down. There had to be something in his statement.
The smoking gun.
Exactly, he had to have a smoking gun that was true about the community. And I do definitely know that there's some nefarious things that the Somali communities practices, and they all have the same mantra everywhere. So if you hear about Somalis opening up restaurants where they're using government aid to run these programs, and they're hiring only the Somali members in their families, and you're hearing about them defrauding the government and they're using their children.
Of course, not all of them, but those who have been found in this scandal,
you know that definitely someone from that community was benefiting in that sense, you know. So there's something that is true there, and that unfortunately has made
what has given birth to Trump having an entry point of attacking the whole of Somali community.
Right. And one thing I'll say is that if there's anything that Americans, it doesn't matter if it's white or black, if there's anything that Americans hate, is a foreigner who comes into their country and behaves incorrectly, especially in a manner to take advantage of the government resources and the taxpayers' money. You know, that is something that Americans do not support, and Somalis should have known that. And I do feel there's a lady who was speaking here, and she was pleading with people, saying that there are those of them who are truly innocent, and they're just there trying to create a life, trying to go to school, trying to build a, you know. And I have to say, just as Anton Daniel said, those now are gonna be who we call collateral damage, because at the end of the day, the people who did this are making all of you. It truly happened somewhere.
Yeah, fraudulent activities that defrauded the government of their resources. It truly happened. And in as much as right now, the government hasn't pinpointed exactly who it is, they're making the entire Somali community look guilty, you know. And also I've been wondering, other than the fraudulent activities that the government has realized the Somali community was doing, because I don't know why I'm inclined to believe that this wasn't just uncovered right now today by the by the American government. I have to believe that this suspicion might have been there for a long time, but this is the smoking gun they were waiting to attack the Somali community, especially the ones in Minnesota, because I, for one, and I can give Somalis this 100%, I do know how Somalis are so serious with their businesses and how they can run businesses to a point of taking over a place they've migrated to. Because here in Kenya, there is a place
our Minnesota is Isili.
Yeah, our Minnesota here in Kenya is called it's a place called Isili. That place, people know it as Little Mogadishu because of just how many Somalis, both Kenyan born and ones who immigrated from Somalis, from Somalia. That is, they run so many successful businesses there. So my biggest question is, did they use this smoking gun right now because the Somali economy in that particular area is doing well, or was it genuinely done because it had gotten out of hand?
You know, everything, I normally say that whenever somebody presents you with something, even if it's factual, you have
look
to
look at the underlying factors that are not, you know, showing visibly.
Right. You have to look at it in 3 dimensions, because it's not like the person is doing it out of the goodness of their own heart because they want to help the afflicted people, you know. No, because I have to believe that statement the president brought out and opened the Pandora's box. I want to believe that it's something they were waiting to use as a political card to gain some sort of favor. And right now you have to ask yourself, how is it affecting America that this is happening? Because already it was to a point where Latinos were attacked, to a point where it had become I don't know how to put it, but it's like they had done everything they could to the community. So who is next, you know? And then the Somali community was just chilling in Minnesota, continuing to defraud the government, you know.
Their fraudulent ways was just exposed like, hello. Hello, Jackie.
Imagine. So I don't know, guys. Let us know what you think about this episode. All I have to say is that a lot of Somalis definitely are gonna be catching stray bullets. Those ones who claim to be innocent, because I want to believe that there's straight arrows in the community.
And I actually genuinely do believe, I actually genuinely do hope that these bad seeds will stop doing this in America, because they're really truly affecting the genuine ones who are built alive in America. And right now the whole community is facing scrutiny just because of a few greedy pigs.
Right, and it's about time for Somalis to, you know, to stop claiming they're not black, because right about now you're being treated as anything else other than what you thought you were. And because the Somalis for Trump right now, I know they're regretting, because guys, you saw those men standing up on podiums and speaking, you know, with
their
pride.
full chests.
Exactly.
Right now, when she has hit the fan, you don't see all of that testosterone that was on stage. Right now you're seeing Ilhan Omar is the only one standing. Okay, from the videos we've seen, is the only one standing up in that podium trying to shield everybody from the stray bullets that are coming from Trump.
Right. But anyway, guys, let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section. Interested to see the road, the turn that this is going to take, you know.
And
at the end of the day,
the stance that Somali Americans will take, especially the ones who are not innocent, will they out the ones that are doing this in the communities? Because what I usually say is, when someone does something dirty in your community, more often than not, you know who that person is, or a friend of yours knows who that person is. So,
but
it's high time they feed them to the wolves.
The fact that you know who that person is means you indirectly or directly benefited from how they did business, you know. Because when you look at how even Somalis invite each other to go to America, like there's a long, you know, there's a long connection there that you can't really put a finger on it, whether it was straightforward or not, you know. But somehow they do manage to help themselves. So whether or not you're legal or illegal, there's something that has happened that definitely is gonna change the course of your life in America, you know?
And you know, one thing I've observed with what Somalis are going through right now versus what Latinos were going through with the ICE raids and all of that, the Latino community, the legal ones were selling the ones who are not legal. They were feeding them to the wolves. But Somalis, they're so tight-knit to a point where you haven't seen one single Somali call ICE on an illegal Somali.
That's a good observation, I have to say.
And that is, be it as it may, I really admire Somalis for that. They stick together like glue.
Right. But guys, let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section. Also consider subscribing if it's your first time here, and we'll catch you on our next episode.